We've all marveled at the majestic lions, the powerful tigers, and the elusive bears. But what if I told you there are creatures out there that embody the DNA of all three? Welcome back to our channel, where today we're diving deep into the world of hybrid animals. Prepare to be amazed as we explore the realm of genetic crossbreeding, where the boundaries of nature are pushed to the limit. From the bizarre to the downright terrifying, these creatures defy all expectations. But before we delve into our list, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest uploads. All right, let's get started. Number 10. Zonky. A zonky is not a zombie donkey, but the fact that this hybrid animal exists is creepy enough. When you mix a zebra with a donkey, you get the strange cocktail that is the zonky. And because both animals are equine, breeding too successfully is pretty easy to do. But the chances of a zebra and a donkey falling in love with each other in the wild are pretty low, so you can bet that any zonky in existence is a product of both science and selective breeding. The zonky is able to retain traits from both parents that give it its coat, and so they'll typically have zebra lines on their legs. But they'll still give you that iconic hee-haw if you get a little too close. Perhaps they've retained the best of both worlds then. But the only catch with the zonky is that these guys are a one-time deal, meaning they can't produce any young. Number 8. Liger. It's one of the most well-known hybrids to exist, but don't expect to see one on the hunt in the savannah. This artificially created beast only exists in the zoos and sanctuaries that have birthed them. And as the name would suggest, they're the product of a male lion mating with a female tiger. But the kicker here is that these animals grow to be much larger than either of their parents. And while this may sound cool to us, it's actually quite unfortunate for the ligers. They suffer from a bout of gigantism, which causes them to weigh around 1,200 pounds. They're so overweight, it's too much for their body, organs, and heart to take. Most of them die at a young age. But the ligers are fertile, and although uncommon, they can mate with other ligers, tigers, and lions. Number 7. Grizzly Bear. When you're camping, the last thing you want to run into is a grizzly bear. If one of these things takes a liking to you, things probably won't pan out so well. So what would happen if one of these giant predators had their genes crossed with their polar cousins? Well then, you've got a grizzly bear on your hands. The name may be silly, but the grizzly bear is not to be trifled with. And unlike previous entries, these are more likely to turn up in the wild than in a zoo or sanctuary. Back in 2006, an odd-looking bear was shot in the Canadian Arctic, when after some DNA testing and plenty of head scratching, it was confirmed that this was in fact a hybrid animal. Number 6. Humpless Camel. If you're lucky enough to see a camel in person or even ride one, the first thing you're going to notice is the hump. But what about humpless camels? Also known as camas, humpless camels are the product of a camel breeding with a llama. Llamas and camels aren't that too far from each other in the gene pool, so this hybrid animal isn't as rare or tough to create. This is an interesting animal, because while it may look like a small camel, you'll immediately notice the hump is missing. But they do take on the llama's coat, meaning they are extra soft. While not as large as a camel, an adult cama can weigh up to 6 times as much as a llama. But because these can only be made via artificial insemination, you'll never see one out in the wild. Number 5. Henny. The Henny is a product of a match made anywhere but heaven, a female donkey mating with a male horse. And so the Henny is essentially the opposite of a mule and looks much smaller than its well-known cousin. But instead of being a smaller, more demure hybrid animal, this one is strong, really strong. Henny have some tough legs, so despite their size, they can give you just a little more bang for your buck than the average pack animal. It's quite an interesting characteristic, and unlike the mule. So the Henny has beauty and brain. But how about brains? Well, maybe not so much. It may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but they certainly know how to get the job done. Number 4. Spider goats. You've heard of Spider-Man, but what about spider goats? Spider goats are very real and a new addition into the world of living oddities created by science. But instead of swinging from building to building and saving the city once a week, all these goats do is produce milk that contains spider silk. But because these goats have had their DNA spliced with the golden orb spider, The silk from the milk can be extracted and used to make all kinds of amazingly strong materials like parachutes, fishing lines, and even body armor. Number 3. Jaguar lions are scary enough in their own right, and so the thought of combining them with a jaguar is downright terrifying. Both of these animals are at the top of the food chain and stalk their prey before going in for the kill. And when you combine these two apex predators, you get the Jaguar. A product of an incredibly selective breeding system, the Jaguar is incredibly rare. One of the most famous jaguars lived in the Bear Creek Sanctuary in Ontario, Canada, and will likely live out their days there, toting the line between lion and jaguar. But their birth was actually a happy accident. Number 2. Beefalo. The first recorded beefalo sighting was in 1749, when they were accidentally bred in the American South. But about 100 years later, settlers began creating beefalo in the hopes that they would provide both more milk than cows and survive the harsh winters. Think of them as super cows. The beefalo was tough to manage, but they were a success nonetheless because the majority of them were able to produce offspring. But cut to a few centuries later, the meat industry is booming and manufacturers are employing scientists to help them produce more and better meat. So now, the beefalo comes in again, offering not just more meat, but leaner and with less fat and cholesterol. Number 1. Wolfin. This is probably one of the rarest hybrid in the world, which is saying a lot, and probably one of the coolest too. The Wolfin is what you get when you cross a female bottlenose dolphin and a male whale. The first Wolfin in the United States was birthed at the Sea Life Park in Hawaii in 1985. Named Keikai Malu, which means from the peaceful ocean, and it's not hard to see why with her darker skin, nice row of 66 razor-sharp pearly whites that she shows off with every wide smile. She was even able to produce offspring, which sadly passed away after just a few days. But her second calf lives a far more successful life, living to be about 9 years old. It's safe to say that the Wolfin still needs some genetic fine-tuning to become a mainstay within the animal kingdom. Thank you for watching our Absolute Facts video. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with others who might find it interesting. Your support means a lot to us. Stay tuned for our next captivating video. See you next time.